Hey, it's Jordan, and we're here at 70 Park Street. And what I want to do today is just show you some of the things that we do to a home to get it ready to list. This is a beautiful home, detached, right across the street from a great park where kids are playing. There's a soccer field and what have you. But there's lots of work to be done before we list this property. So I'm going to take you inside, and we're going to talk about that now. Okay, we're here today to talk about all the things we do before we list your home, or pre-listing. First of all, it all starts with us walking through the home with our client, with you, to get a feel for where your home is at. Who are the people that we might want to bring in? And invariably, about 9 times out of 10, we're going to bring in a stager. And now a stager helps us with many things, including paint colors, lighting, as well as what you normally associate with staging, being the furniture and what have you, and the accessories. And of course, they do that later. But what a stager does when they're finished their walkthrough is that they'll give us a list of things that we need to do before they actually bring in the furniture. So it gives us a working list of to-dos. Next, we'll bring in an inspector. An inspector also, after they go through the home, they'll give us a third-party perspective of all the things that need to be done mechanically. So here I have Shawn with us, who happens to be here as we're shooting the video, so let's take advantage of him. He wasn't prepared to go on camera, but we're going to stick him in front of the camera anyway. And Shawn, I'm just, very generally, what are the things you're looking at?
Yeah, so in this scenario, we're doing, of course, the pre-listing inspection. So this is really about trying to find any major problems with the house that would inform the buying decision of someone looking at it. So they don't have to bring their own home inspector in or worry that maybe they can't bring their own home inspector in to do an inspection. It reduces their risk, it gives them confidence, it helps everyone involved.
Yeah, I think what I'm getting at and what you're saying here is transparency helps everybody.
For sure, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, nobody likes surprises in a buying process. The seller doesn't like surprises, the buyer doesn't like surprises. So what are you doing today?
Yeah, so having an overall survey of the building, we're looking for what is the condition of the roof, how are the windows doing, is there any major structural faults in the foundation, what is the age of the heating and cooling equipment, are there any major problems that are going to hit a home buyer in the first couple of years of buying the property? And not only that, on yours, you'll give them some indication of what it might cost, within a range. I mean, it gives you some idea, so that, again, with transparency in mind, if they had to replace a furnace, or there's 2 years left on a furnace, because I'll tell you what happens when we don't do this, and you'll know this, every time if you ask a client, hey, how old's the roof? They'll invariably, and me as well, they'll go, because they remember paying for a new roof, they'll go, oh, it's about 5 years old. Right. And then we'll look at it and go, no, it's actually 12 years old, right? Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And the same thing with because we always remember paying for it like it was just yesterday. But of course, it wasn't just yesterday. And I find it's actually helpful for me as well when we're talking to our seller to give them an indication of exactly where the home is, because they might not realize that the roof is actually 10 years old. In this case, it isn't, by the way. This roof is basically new. But they will see exactly where the property is and can take that into account. And also in terms of their budget, they might want to spend a couple of dollars here or there in order to get
Absolutely.
So it really does help with us in many, many ways. And now we've got a list of to-dos that we can start working on to prepare the home. Once we've got that list, we might need to bring in some trades. In this particular home, because it's quite new, actually it's very new, all we're really doing is some paint touch-ups. And you're going to meet our painter coming through. Okay, we're fortunate today that Matthew happened to be dropping by, who is going to be taking care of the painting of this beautiful home. But as perhaps we don't know, there's a lot more to painting than many of us think.
Absolutely.
Matthew, tell us about it.
So we don't just paint. Often the walls are not ready for us to just paint, so we often have to come in, we have to do some plastering, we'll do some caulking as well, and we make sure that all the nail holes are filled and all of that is ready to go before we do any painting at all.
Right. Yeah, so most people don't realize how much preparation gets involved when you're painting.
Absolutely.
We've watched too many flipping shows, and all of a sudden it goes from one to this, and we miss the in-between part.
Absolutely.
This video happens to be about pre-listing, and What we're talking about is all the work that goes in beforehand, and your job is exactly like, it's all the work that goes on beforehand.
100%, yeah.
So this house is really gonna sparkle when you guys are finished with it. And painting, we have found, is, well, I think it's universally found, is the best bang for your buck. The best return on anything, if you're going to upgrade your home, it's paint.
It's 100% investment.
Yeah.
Definitely. Whatever
Yeah.
you put into it, you definitely get back.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So thanks for dropping by.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you.
Those are just some of the things that we need to do. In this home, all we're going to be doing is some paint touch-ups. But in other homes, we might be bringing in multiple trades to get the home ready for market. So that's where it all starts. We work very closely with the client with our shopping list. We might have a to-do list that's very long, and we might not do all of them because there are costs associated with that. We might just do our top 5, but we do have a list that's very clear that we can work with the client to get the house in its tip-top shape for pictures and sale. Now we're going to have the team brief the seller.
So Paul, should I be buying before we sell my house, or?
So that's a great question, and I think that's a question on a lot of people's minds. And really it depends on the market you're in. What are you buying and what are you selling? Typically in the city of Toronto right now, everything is in a strong seller's market. So
Right.
we would advise, buy first and then sell. The risk there is if you buy first and you don't sell, then you have to bridge 2 mortgages. Shouldn't be a problem in the strong seller's market. The risk the other way is if you sell first and then buy, you just need to find a place to live, which truthfully can be kind of a pain, especially if you have a family. You have to rent a place for a short term. So
Right.
it really depends. In your situation, it's such a strong property that we're not going to have a problem selling it.
Hey Carolyn, so what does the general timeline look like when we want to sell?
Yeah, great question. I think, the biggest thing is people, while we get stuff ready, we can get everything going in about a week's time. So
Okay.
that looks like fixing all the things that we've spoken about during this meeting. It looks like staging, taking amazing photos and videos, because, everyone looks at stuff online first. And then in the listing process, because we're in such a strong seller's market, we are going to hold an offer date. So we usually like to list for about a week, especially over a weekend, so we can hold virtual or in-person open houses and, make sure we get as many eyes on your property before the offer date as possible.
So I've lately been hearing about virtual staging, and what do you think about that? Is that something we should be doing?
So I think, virtual staging for a whole property, it's great for rentals. I think, in a house especially a house like this, it's as nice as this, is you want real staging because, like Carolyn said, we're going to drive a lot of eyeballs. And when those people come here, you want them to be wowed, right? You want them to see that aspirational living and want to live in the space. With virtual staging, there's always kind of a sense of disappointment.
Once they get here.
Once they get here. Maybe, if we're just staging maybe 2 or 3 rooms, there's other rooms we could do some virtual staging. I think that's fine. We hope you found that hugely helpful.
Definitely, if you have any questions, post them in the comments and one of us will get back to you. Make sure to like and subscribe as well.
And if you're thinking about selling, now is the time to have this conversation, to talk about, the timelines, your wants, so we can maximize the value of your home.